I'm Dr. Cheryl Witt, but I'd rather most people just call me Cheryl. I work with the University of Kentucky College of Ag, and there's a big long name for the College of Ag now, and I can't keep up with all that. But I'm the ag nurse for the state of Kentucky, and I was telling the young people back here that that's my dream job. I just wish I'd gotten it when I was about 20 years old. I'm a nurse for 100,000 years, ER, cath lab, and now Dale and I travel the state, and we work promoting the health and safety of our farmers and farm families across the state. Both of us are farmers for many generations, and it's like, we're out with our peoples all the time. And we get to hopefully make a difference. This is Mr. Dale Dobson from the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, and your title, please tell them.
Safety Administrator.
Safety Administrator. And then we have some special guests here tonight from the future FFA. We have, do you all want to stand up? Mr. Brandon McCulley, President, I think I saw. Mr. Trey Downs. Miss Joanna, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. What is it? Juring. Okay. Morgan Allender. Macy Miller. Peyton Harris. And Miss Haley Kramer. So thank you all for being here. Anybody want to say anything, Mr. President?
I'm just thankful for the opportunity and being able to learn more about the safety of keeping our farmers safe every day and helping us, the younger kids, learn about it all and hopefully get them interested in doing that work.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Then from the Southern Campbell Fire District, we have Chief Jim Bell. Here he is, right here. And then from the Alexandria Police Department, we have Officer Nick Roden and Mr. Officer Blake Cuthbert. Is that close? Now, where did my partner go? Oh, well. I will tell you that Dale and I make a good team. We are not, and I repeat, not married, okay? But I don't treat him any different than anybody else. I boss him all the time. So usually I have him do this thing because I can never get that stupid thing to work. And you'll see us interact, but just trust me, we're good friends. And he'll talk a little bit more when he does his part. But we are not married, just so that's clear. So what we do, why do you keep wandering off? Okay. So, what we do, QPR is an established program that, like, for example, your teachers in your public school may be required to participate in QPR as part of their training.
Are you going to click them or do I got to do it for you?
I'm going to make you do it. But I'm only on this first slide.
It's real easy.
I know. So, but if you all didn't know this, there is a worldwide problem, not a Kentucky problem, with depression and suicide rates in our farmers. Because a lot of factors that affect the income of farmers is stuff that's totally out of their control. They can't do anything about it. Insects, we had floods, tornadoes come in and damage the crop. Import, export, whatever the market's doing. And we can't do anything about that. But that affects their paycheck. And cost of operations has gone up considerably, especially right after COVID. So you're putting out more, but you're not getting any more. So we came together. We have a whole team of us from universities all over the state, commodity groups from all over the state, people who are just interested in helping in the agricultural communities. So we came together as a group to try to figure out what we're going to do about it. Now, I'm in academia, which I sometimes don't appreciate because we had all this research on stress and suicide rates in farmers. Well, that's fine, but what are we going to do about it? So our group this is one of the programs that we started, and it's been very successful. What is that? Okay. So, this program was already established, but what we did is put an ag twist on it because one of our colleagues went and talked to farmers who felt that non-farming public had no idea what they did and dealt with on a day-to-day basis and what it took to get food to the table. They felt like people didn't appreciate the fact that they did do that as their occupation. And they also, of course, there's a stigma, even in the general public, with seeking help for mental health. So we wanted to reduce that stigma. And there seemed like there was one more point I was going to make about that. It'll come to me here in a little bit. So our mission was to address some of those issues. So some of the things we do is go out into the non-farming publics and tell them about agriculture. Or we might interview several farmers. What do you want the non-farming public to know? And we record it and then we show it like at State Fair or something to that effect. And then we also, when we do classes like this, and this is geared towards anybody out in the community, but we felt like we wanted to make people aware that there was a problem with stress and depression and suicide, and we wanted to be able to talk. We wanted people to be aware and be more comfortable talking about it, because people don't want to talk about suicide. People just don't want to do that. So we geared this towards the lay people, ag community, because if you live in a rural area, like, your neighbor could be a farmer. So we felt like education at the community level was one place to start. We've also gone and provided education and developed it for nurses, doctors, so that they know if that person seeks help from them, they know where they're coming from. And so, for example, like my dad, even he does go to the doctor, because a lot of rural people, men, especially farmers, don't go to the doctor unless their arm's cut off or something like that. So, but that doctor understood. He said, "Oh, well, let me get you out of here. I know you got hay on the ground." So we try to make people so that they know where that farmer is coming from. So education, education, education. Oh, that's what I've thought of my thought that I forgot. And I have to be a little bit, I'm sorry, I don't want to be sexist, but this is a sexist remark and I'm just going to lay it out. Because when we talk with farmers, you are talking largely with men, although I will say Kentucky is #1 in the nation for female farm operators. But when you talk to a rural male, they have a certain level of, and we're going to talk more about this, so I won't dwell on it. Let's just call it hard-headedness, okay? And so getting them to seek help is a little bit challenging. And again, we'll talk more about that. So again, education, education, education. You got the clicker, Maju? Where you at?
Oh, there we go. Yay! Got it.
I started out here on this farm as a hog farmer back in 1980, and I absolutely love hog farming. I mean, I just eat, sleep, dream about trying to make a really, really good one, and had a really good business going with selling lots of boars and yelts and just the market hog business. And in December of '98, big business got really bad. Hogs got to 10 cents a pound. We had 1,200 sows and three farms, and break even was probably 35 cents, and we were bleeding money. And so I sat at this table, 3 o'clock in the morning, worried sick. How was I going to pay my bills? How was I going to make it? It was difficult. I mean, I felt like the whole world was on me from the time sitting at this table to even starting over. I started over at 43 years old, and I was embarrassed, I was ashamed, I was too proud. But I worked there at the Park Bank for 16 years, and then moved over to the governor's office of ag policy. And I will tell you, this job has been the most wonderful experience that I've ever had. I have learned more about agriculture. I eat and sleep and want to learn about it, think about it all the time. And I think back to those days sitting here at this table, and what looked so bad, like the world was about to end for me, turned out to be an absolute blessing. I got a perfect job, a job that fits me like a glove. What looked so bad turned out to be wonderful. I throws you some curves, but at that same time they throw you curves, it just gives you opportunity. And we in agriculture are really lucky. We know how to work, and you know how to work and hustle, do things when you don't have to do things that makes success possible. You get chances to and opportunities to advance. And I've been very, very fortunate, maybe lucky, but I've been very blessed. From sitting at this table and couldn't pay my bills to providing for my family better than I ever have after 21 years. You know, life gives you lots of chances.
Now we have a new national hotline, if y'all know that, 988. We'll talk about that. Good. So tonight is what we'll do is we're both QPR trainers. You have to be trained to train, but there's, if anything as we go through this bothers you, feel free to go out. Likely one of us will be out behind you just to check on you, but just don't worry about it if it makes you uncomfortable, because I don't know what you all have been through or what might trigger something. I've been affected by suicide in my own family and talk about it all the time now, so it doesn't, sometimes, and I won't say that it doesn't bother me sometimes still, but if something concerns you or bothers you, and you just feel free to step out. That's good. We'll move on. Now, this video right here that's coming up, again, this is geared towards the agricultural communities. I can't watch it. I want to listen to it because it has to do with dairy cows. We have a lot of animals, and we love our animals just like our kids. So I cannot watch this part. But this, again, kind of helps people out in the community to recognize what farmers have to go through at times. And this, because y'all know dairy farming also is just, in Kentucky. Okay. And I appreciate that they put in there that suicide prevention is, all of us have a responsibility as humans, as neighbors, as people here on earth to take care of people. So We also, I was explaining to some people, not only do we go into ag communities, but we work with the fire commission, but largely in Kentucky, we have volunteer fire out in the rural areas. And a lot of them don't receive training either because of, expenses, or they have other jobs and they just don't get together. So we go and work with firefighters who also may be farmers as well, or when they go out on a call, they may be going to a farm with people that they know. So we incorporated this with firefighters. And then, of course, family and friends of firefighters and farmers. Okay, Dale. So we want you all to have a better understanding of community and the agricultural community, and we want you to be able to take the information you get tonight and be able to apply it in your everyday life. And we'll talk a little bit about the barriers living in a rural area and seeking help for mental health, and maybe some alternatives that you could do, use for resources. You're doing good, Dale. We talked about the alarming rates of stress and depression, suicide. Again, it's not just Kentucky. This is a worldwide issue. You want me to fuss, don't you? I know.
You could work.
So, even if suicide is not the end result of the situation, if you are under a high rate of stress, and I feel like I'm walking into, it contributes to depression and increasingly levels of depression. And if you're under a lot of stress and farming is a dangerous job. You've got dangerous equipment. If your head is not on what you're doing, you're liable to put you at a higher risk for being injured in an already dangerous situation. And then being under stress, chronic stress all the time, you might as well smoke cigarettes, 4 or 5 packs of cigarettes, because that stress releases chemicals in your body and causes damage to your heart vessels. You may have stroke, heart disease, etc. Okay. People who do not farm sometimes they don't recognize, and even being a police officer or a firefighter, it's who you are. It's how you're identified. And it's in your heart and I'll say in your guts. It's every piece of you. It's our way of life. It's what we don't want to raise our kids any other way. We'd rather be out on the farm than, I don't know, at some big concert or something. It's just what we do. With police officers and even farmers and even firefighters, you develop this strong attachment to, that we were talking about, these two, you all ride in a car, and you got a whole team of people behind you that got your back. And that's kind of the way it is in farming communities, where you take care of your neighbor. You might not even like your neighbor, but you're going to take care of them if something happens. So they also have this strong work ethic, largely conservative, that there's work there, it's got to be done, no matter, I don't care, even a lot of people have another job and they have to come home. I talked to one of the agents last night, and he had just gotten in. It's almost dark. He's got to go, he's got to go feed or do whatever. Or if you're harvesting, it's got to get done. So they have long hours of sometimes physically hard work. I say traditional gender roles. That's not so much anymore. But usually the man is the head of the household, or at least we let them think they are. And the man's got to take care of the person that takes care of everything. That's what they think in their head. I got to take care of this because that's my job. And if they can't do it, like Warren got to the point where he could not do that, or he felt he could not, it started to increase his level of stress. Here's the main thing. Self-reliant, independent. There's a video. It's the farmer thing of pain. It's got the doctor talking, one the doctor talking to the other. We got a farmer who drove himself in. He was fixing fence, drove himself in, and the guy said, well, did he finish the task? And the guy said, no, he didn't finish his task. He said, get the code cart, because they are not going to come in. If you call, the farmer will call and say, and you can't help them right away, they say, to hell with it. You know, they got all the characteristics that make a farmer successful, independent, fix their own equipment, take care of stuff, take care of the family, take care of the farm, and not complain. That stoic thing, all that stuff is a barrier to seeking help for especially mental health. It also prevents them a lot sometimes for seeking treatment for their physical ailments as well. And they might wait till they're really sick before they'll go, but definitely with mental health. So when we talk about responder stress in rural communities, again, largely volunteer, they work and live usually in the community where they serve. And they too have long hours, physically demanding work, and they may respond to the scene of people that they know. And it probably happens to y'all too, I don't know. So that causes a lot of stress, especially in our first responders. And they usually don't make a whole lot of money, so a lot of times they'll have a second job. So in our first responders, we have another set of stressors. So how's it all related? Again, we talked about the delay and resistance in seeking help. If a farmer comes in finally decides to seek help, a lot of times, as a nurse, they won't say something's wrong in their head or that they're depressed. They may say, I got a headache. It'll be some kind of physical complaint. So if you know this, you can, as a nurse, you can probe a little bit further and ask a few more questions about their situation so you can get down to the nitty-gritty. And you have to listen to your patient when you're doing this assessment. Loss of identity. Farmers define their health, good health, by being able to get up in the morning and do whatever. Even if they had no arms or legs, as long as they could get up and do what they needed to on the farm. And if I asked them if they were in good health, they say, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. But in our older farmers, as they cannot do some of those things, as they get older and they physically cannot do certain things that they need to do on the farm, or let's say they have a heart attack or a stroke, which causes a disability, then they get to the point where they can't do certain things. And it's right in front, they're living and working in the same place, and they see it all deteriorating, and that's not, they don't like that. Then a lot of times in our older farmers, that's their cause of death by suicide. In our younger farmers, it's kind of interesting. I thought it was going to be finances, but it wasn't. The most current data tells us that relationship issues in our younger farmers is what causes them to die by suicide. That and substance abuse and or a combination of the two, followed by finances. Largely by the time you're older, most of the time you're established or you've gotten that all squared away. But I thought that was pretty interesting. And when I say younger, even like 55 and younger, which would make me an elderly farmer, wouldn't it? Okay. Okay. Usually the spouse or partner is the first person to recognize that something's going on with their spouse. And that's the person that may be able to talk that individual into seeking help. And that's in any relationship usually. Effects of gender roles, meaning, remember, it was typically, the conservative views of, everybody has their role where man is the head of the household. It feels like that he's got to take care of everything. And if there comes a point that he feels like he's not providing for his family or doing what he should, then that causes stress. In women, we got to wear so many hats. Sometimes that can cause a lot of stress in our female farmers. But usually, death by suicide is largely white males. Again, in our rural areas, lack of providers. We don't have, there's, in my town, We do have a hospital, and we've got a few doctors, but I don't think we have a mental health provider, specific to that role. And we don't have any specialists, like we don't have a cardiologist or any of that kind of stuff. We have to, get up, take a shower, drive to the next town, sit in somebody's office for who knows how long, and then come back. Like I said, we may have hay on the ground. We don't have time to fool with all that stuff. Transportation, it might be we call it a ways to get there. Maybe you don't have a car. I know, I've dealt with people, they just didn't have that, or, gas money or whatever. Close-knit community. In some ways it's good, but then everybody knows your business. And that goes along with the, so if we had a mental health provider in town and I drove because I decided I needed some help, the next thing you know, you at the stores will say, I saw Cheryl's car or truck down at the doctor's area. I wonder what's going on with her. And then by the time it gets back, no telling what kind of problems I have because they've added to the story. So it just, so we have to reduce the stigma of seeking help for mental health. And if you all leave here and even talk to just one person, we're doing better than we were. Okay. So be familiar with the people that you surround every day. You've got to, and this is especially important in a healthcare provider, but even in the everyday life, people have got to be able to trust you, or they're not going to tell you something. So develop that. That takes time. And once you get it, and especially in the farming community, once you develop that rapport of trust, don't mess it up. Because once you mess it up, it's the end of it. You'll never get anything from that again. Listen to what people have to say. And Dale will always say he has a hard time doing that. And sometimes I do too, because I get excited. But just take a deep, and if you're one of those people who do get excited or you're ADD, know that you are, and just take a deep breath and discipline yourself to keep your mouth shut and listen to what the person's saying, because you can learn a lot by listening to what the person's saying. When we tell this to our nursing and physicians and pharmacists, in the rural world, you've got to be nice. You cannot be rushing through your assessment and trying to get some, if I want more information from this patient, I need to sit down, take my time. If I know their family, say, well, how's your kids doing? You got to get all those pleasantries out so that they're comfortable. And again, that's a trusting relationship. And be respectful, like the cardiologist. I know I need to get you out of here because you got hay on the ground. So that respects my dad's occupational position. Okay. Again, our resources are limited, or there's barriers. We just don't go to the resources as individuals. So if after this, in QPR is question, persuade, and refer, and you're trying to help somebody, or if you're trying to seek help for yourself and you're in a community where you don't have somebody right on the corner, or you don't have a hospital to go to, churches, pastors, in the fire department, they have chaplains that are very good. Recognize that those people are there and they will help you. Widespread social support events. Social interaction, we all need that. Especially in the farming community, as people age and they don't go to the cattlemen's meetings or pork producers or whatever their interest is. And if you're going to cattlemen's that night, take a friend with you. Know somebody who stays at home and will not get out, and get them out. My dad sits home all the time because all his friends have died. His fishing buddies have died. Well, you got to find some new friends. So we try to help him with that, or we'll go fishing with him. Something to get him out of the house. You got to have that social interaction to help your mental health. And then increasing mental health literacy out in your community. Talk about it. Talk about emotions. Talk about seeking help for mental health. It's okay. This young man back here, police officer, he's telling about his brother. So the people will listen because he thinks people don't know. So he talks, they listen to what he has to say, and they learn from that. And somebody that you tell may go talk to somebody else. The more we talk about it, the more we talk about it. And it makes people more relaxed. Hey, clicker. Okay. In farming, we talk about that. We're always going to have, farming's always been stressful. Oh my gosh, you couldn't be a farmer if you didn't have faith that, that next year's going to be better. We're going to get more rain. We're going to get less rain, whatever. We're always going to have some kind of stressors. The types of stressors may change. COVID was a new stressor. We didn't know all that stuff was all our operational costs were going to go up 3 and 4 times. But they're going to be there, but the response and what we do for them is essentially the same. And people will continue to do research, but we don't need to do research that there's stress and depression. We need to do research on what we're going to do about it. How can we help people? Whether you're a farmer, police officer, neighbor, what are we going to do? So in the meantime, publicly support your first responders, police officers, farmers. Be a friend that listens, and go out and talk, disseminate this language. Know what's available out in your area. You may not know some of the agencies that are available, because if you've never been there, you just may not know. And don't hesitate to do something if you feel there's a need. And one person who did that, the worst action is inaction. So do something within your level of comfort. And you might not be the person that knows all the resources, but you might know somebody who does. So again, do something. So just keep all this in mind as we start going through this training. What's the next one? Okay. So the QPR is usually what Dale does, and that's fine with me because I'm always get a little uncomfortable, but he does a good job with it. And what's kind of interesting is that Dale, this is not a subject that Dale would have picked up. He trains firefighters how to get tractors up off of cars and, things like that. So this is a new area for him, but he does a fine job.
I thank you. You can go have my seat. All right. We travel together. We get along well. I've been at her house. She's been at mine. The only downside to it is my wife and her is buddied up. If one of them's giving me crap, the other one is too on that part. But we have fun, and we have to. I'm a farmer. I growed up a grain and dairy farmer. That's all I ever wanted to do, get out of school and farm. And when I was in school, elementary school, I was the dummy and a flunky that was left behind. I was even told a couple of times I was just dumb and stupid. Put in every special speech class there was in school. And today, your tax dollars pay me to travel and talk. So there's hope for all of us. Now tell them that on that part. I do things my way. I don't stop. I started out 35 years ago. I went and become a firefighter and an EMT to help out in the farm. We had people working, and my dad had hard issues, and I had a chance to take some training and got divorced. I went and took training. Went up to a university and was going to take a class about farm safety. I thought, hoorah, something about farm safety. And this dude that got up there and getting ready to do this class had a mile-long initials behind his names, and he walks up there and says, reason farmers get hurt, they're dumb, stupid, and they're lazy. Okay. Had my attention. And at about 10 more minutes, he spit that crap out about 3 more times, and I stood up and informed this instructor that farmers can do some dumb things, they can do some stupid stuff, but don't ever call farmers dumb, stupid, and lazy. Needless to say, we're not Facebook friends today. That's part of life. Got done that night out there with the flight crew, stat flight, University of Louisville, and all of them said, well, you're a farmer, an EMT, an instructor. Let's do something. So February 1994, we hosted the first ever statewide farm and home safety symposium on our farm. where I put farmers and firefighters together in the same class. You know, farmers learning about the accidents to prevent them, firefighters learning what farmers are and where their food comes from, and I have fire, police, I has all out there. If you have an accident here in the county tonight and the farmer dies, are the police involved, sheriff's involved, the coroner's involved? It affects everybody. So I put all the players and stakeholders in a class together. Had 75 people that year. Come March 8th, 9th, and 10th, I'm getting ready to do my 31st symposium. My second one had 225 people, and now most years we'll have close to 1,000 coming to E-Town to take classes. I mean, I drive tractors over top of cars, I turn over stuff, we teach work with coroners, flight crews, and everything. I loved that. That was my job. Bailey Ray Smith campaigning back here in '96. I get elected, I'm going to make this a statewide program. Yeah, what the hell ever. You got a politician campaigning. He got elected, give me a phone call, will you come run this couple years? Well, his people had to help me fill out my job application because I wasn't quite smart enough to get all the paperwork done, okay? But they helped me. That 2-year job has turned into 25 years of working now doing this. You wonder if this is worth your time? University of Kentucky Southeast Central Prevention Center counts the deaths. We started doing this, I told you, in '94, '95, Kentucky was averaging 50 farm fatalities a year. 2020, 2021, and 22, we averaged 12 fatalities a year. So has this been worth our time? Yes, it has. Now, that was my job. That was what I wanted to do. And then, in 2019, she come in wanting to meet with some of us, because I do the safety thing, about suicide prevention. Well, it ain't no secret I had an interest. I had an old fat boy, he was Wally Sparks, he was the fire chief of Hodgenville. For most of them 25 years, 20 plus years, Wally traveled with me on weekends. Probably 30, 36 weekends a year, Wally and them with me, he was my fire chief. His wife was leaving him. I never thought I'd lose him like it. I always knowed I was going to find him in his chair dead. He was diabetic, he was 385 pounds, he drank Big Red like it was just going out of style, ate candy, didn't watch his sugar. I always knew I'd go to his house one morning and find him laying in that chair dead. I just never dreamed I'd find him that morning dead where he put a bullet through his heart. Okay? So what we do is kind of my therapy to get through losing my friend, because I didn't know how to ask a question. And that's what they have taught me to do. COVID hit, we started having meetings, COVID hit, and University of Kentucky and Dr. Whitney took his old dumb country boy and put me through a bunch of classes. Yes, they had to hold my hand, they had to help me get through it and help keep me interested, okay? They also had to learn that I don't usually have a filter on my mouth, and I may say some things and get called to the carpet. I don't care. I talk about life and death. My goal is to keep you alive and make you think. My goal is to realign your priorities, what is truly important to y'all. We stand here tonight, I ask y'all a question. What is the most valuable asset you have? What's the most valuable thing you possess? Your health? BS. Let's move on. What's the most valuable thing you got? What would you give your life to protect? Say it. Your family, right? Children and grandchildren, ain't it? And here it is, police officers, firefighters. I have a little more respect here because we risk our lives to save our families. They risk their lives to save ours. Sometimes we forget that. So we do that. So with our children and grandchildren being the most valuable things we possess, that helps you learn to change your safety. If that's the most valuable thing you possess, where do they learn their good habits from? Okay, and I'm going to put it in simple English. Where do they learn their dumb shit from? Think about it. What do we want our kids to learn from us? What do we want them to take away? They learn by watching us. I mean, I can sit here and preach at these FFA kids, and I worked with them last year. You know, I like working with FFA. It's kind of the cream of the crop up here. You know, I can sit here and all day long tell you not to do this. But if you see me do it, and then the moment I walk away, you're going to do it. You know, you got to practice what you preach. You got to lead by example. If we want them to be safe, we have to lead that way. We have to do it. If I want them to wear a seatbelt, I have to wear a seatbelt. If I want them to wear chainsaw safety stuff, guess what I got to wear? If I want them to wear a helmet on a four-wheeler, what do I need to do? You know, we need to all do it together. So once we learn to realign our priorities, it's not hard to sit here and take this serious and learn to talk to our families about life and death. Learn to talk about suicide prevention on that part. I thought I knowed Wally real good. I mean, we'd go out to eat supper. His wife would be on my arm, my wife on his arm. We carried on stuff. We shared hotel rooms together, our wives and everything. We had a good time. We had a good friendship. I never in my life thought he'd kill himself. I never in my life asked that question. I never seen that coming. But now that they've trained me, I can look back and see how it walked every day up to it. Hindsight's great, but it's useless there. And it bothered me, Lucy. It bothered me for not checking. It bothered me for not knowing. I knew Barbara was leaving. She called me. They'd had a little dispute. And they was divorcing. So be it. It happens. And it hurts. I've been married. I've been divorced and remarried. I know how bad it hurts, okay? You lose a boyfriend or girlfriend, it hurts. We go broke. Like Warren Biller said, Warren Biller was going broke. He had to start selling farms and find him another job. At 43 years old, Warren Biller was broke and had to start over. And then he ended up with the best job of his life, being head of GOAP, and now he is Deputy Commissioner of Kentucky. What if Warren had taken his life then? And that other video there, in case you couldn't read it and didn't understand it all, a dairy farmer had run out of money, he had run out of credit. He couldn't foresee selling his cows and stuff. His cows were starving. He was out of money, out of food, out of credit. And the only way he could figure to solve it was he killed his cows because he didn't want to see them be hungry, and killed himself. What did he take away from his family? What did he take away? You kill a herd of cattle, what kind of money is that? If he had talked to somebody and had accepted what was coming, they could have found feed, they could have found help, they could have sold the cattle to another farm. We can look now and see all the what ifs. But in that time of his cows being hungry, and he loved his cows and loved his stuff, the only thing he could see was to keep them being hungry. I understand why he did it, but it still don't help on that part. So we have to ask questions. We have to talk to people. And if something bothers you, as Dr. Witt said, you go out here. Me and Dr. Witt carrying on teaching together is how we can even do this job and get through it. It's an emotional job talking about this and thinking about what we cleaned up. I've held every elected position there is to hold on Hodgeville and the Root County Fire Department. I've been from a firefighter back here in '89 all the way up to the fire chief, assistant chief. I've held every position there is to hold on that part. I see what goes on there on that part. I've won elections and I've lost elections. I've had years that I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills at the end of the year. I've had years I'd have to borrow more money and was lucky that the bank trusted me enough to do it on that part. I've had rain, I've had drought. I've had jobs here out here. So we all have good and bad. But I do not know what you're dealing with. Although I know Dr. Witt, we travel well, and we carry on with each other. It's daily. We'll pick on each other. And that's what helps us get through this. Now, we also sit down and talk pretty serious about things because of what we see out here and do on that part. It's an issue. And what I want y'all to learn to take away from here tonight is a thing called QPR, question, persuade, and refer. I did not know enough about suicide to see that Wally was struggling. I did not know enough to know that he was struggling to the point that he was thinking about killing himself. I did not know how to ask that question. But this is what I want y'all to learn here, how to ask that question on that part. QPR is not intended to be a form of counseling. I'm not a counselor. I'm just an old happy fat boy. If you want to know, I do a program called Fat Boy in Training. If you want a class in Fat Boy in Training, all you got to do is take me to supper. We'll call that a class. See, I put a little humor to this because I don't want to sit down here crying. We have to learn to enjoy life and look at it on that part. QPR, question, persuade, and refer. Question, you ask the question, and then you persuade them to get help, and then you got to know where to refer them. QPR is intended to offer hope. It's intended to help open the door to hope on that part right there. Myth, I want y'all to read. I ain't going to read this to you. I ain't that smart to do it without messing it up. Myth, suicide prevention is a private family matter. No, it ain't. Wally was my friend. He wasn't my family. He was my friend. And what made it even worse is my grandkids thought of him as an uncle. It bothered my grandkids more than it did some others because Wally took his life. They couldn't understand why Uncle Wally took his life on that part. And if there's a heaven and I get there, the first thing I'm going to do when I meet Wally is kick him in the nads. I owe him that for what he done to the family. That's as far as I can put it. I love the old boy, but, you know, he wanted to hurt Barbara, but he hurt everybody else in the process. And sometimes you don't realize that. In fact, suicide prevention is everybody's business. You know, y'all FFAers, y'all all know everybody in the blue jacket here tonight, right? If one of y'all took your life tonight, would that not affect the rest of you tomorrow? Just like the police officers. You know everybody in your district and precinct, don't you? You know all your firefighters in your firehouse. Being fire chief, I thought, man, that's the greatest thing in the world. You know what I did as fire chief? I run an adult daycare. I ain't kidding y'all. I mean, it is. My girlfriend's at his house. My wife's over there. Well, if you was at home, it wouldn't have been there, you know. Y'all see what we're saying? Yeah, he's grinning and laughing. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Confronting a person about suicide only makes them angry. That's a myth. Ask the question. Ask it directly. Be to the point. When I say ask it directly, I'm going to do like this right here. I know Dr. Witt. I know her good. I know her moods in and out pretty good. You know your friends. You know your partner. You two are riding in the same car together. You know, y'all in there together. You kind of get to learn each other. You may not love each other, but you get to know and respect each other on that part. And you can tell when one of you's having a good day or one's having a bad day. You know secrets about each other. You know, you may leave home that morning and your wife and y'all had a fight. You're going to share that usually with him in the car, good or bad. I know Dr. Witt right here. I know her pretty well. If Dr. Witt was having a bad day and her and Michael having issues or something other, and I know she was down in the blues and the dump, here's my job now. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask you direct. Cheryl, Dr. Witt, are you thinking about suicide? Are you thinking about taking your life? Y'all understand what I'm saying? I'm asking it direct. I'm not saying, are you thinking about it? Maybe if I'm being direct. And you've got to be direct. And here's the kicker to it. By being direct, I've opened the door, and I was looking for them a while ago. Being direct, I've asked it. Now here's what I've done for her. That opens the door for her. It may be hard for me to come tell you I have an issue. But if you open the door for me, I might let it in. I open the door, and here's what you can do. I asked Dr. Witt, are you thinking about suicide? She can say yes and start talking to me. She can say no and say it's none of your business. That's fine too. You understand? I've opened the door. She can come in. But here's where it helps me. QPR's for a living. If I know she's having a bad day, just like Wally did, and I don't ask the question, and she kills herself tonight, and I find her in the morning, who's got to live with the fact that you seen her having a bad day and you didn't ask the question? So she can be mad at me for asking, but I'm going to ask that question because I don't want to deal with the other side of it. And if you open the door for somebody, they'll usually step right in there and start talking to you. And QPR offers a little bit of hope. You know, I can sit there, you know, that farmer we talked about killed his cows. Somebody could have come through there with a truckload of feed and that would have been the hope, wouldn't it? And I guarantee he had neighbors. If they hadn't known that his cows was starving, they'd been, hey, come. Asking directly. Be direct to the point. Myth. Only experts can permit suicide. I just got through telling y'all I'm no expert. I'm just a happy country boy. But if I'm sitting here and I'm willing to take time and work with you and share and listen, is that not helping? Y'all are sitting here tonight. You could be home watching TV, but here it is, a wet, snotty, rainy night, and y'all out here because y'all want to be able to do something. On that part, you want to know what to do. You want to be better. And that's what it boils down to, knowing how to ask the questions. Research shows that not only experts, but non-professionals can be effective. Because somebody walking up and talking to Cheryl saying she cares. Somebody walking up and talking to Miss Simon back here, you know, seeing she's having a bad day. You know, knowing about it. See, I met Miss Simon in Scott County. I called it Bourbon, Scott County. You know, I know Marion Simon Extension. I think your Facebook page is Marion Simon Extension or something other. Like that right there. And just a little conversation, just what little I know there, to get her started chit-chatting about something other and start changing what's on her mind. Help pull her out of the dark pits on that part. And we can do that. You FFA girls sitting here together, You three, are y'all what I consider friends? I would. Y'all sat here together. One of you has a boyfriend that does something wrong or says something. Don't the rest of the two of you know about it? Uh-huh. On that part there. Just like y'all and girlfriends and stuff. You get to know each other. Y'all make trips together. You ride buses together. You will then know if somebody's having problems or something or other. Be that friend that asks that question. You know, the worst thing they can do is tell you no, none of your business on that part. Myth, QPR, facts and myths. I'm going to let you kind of read through them there. Myth, suicidal people keep the plans to themselves. Now, if you come to know somebody, like looking back at Wally, and I know Cheryl, I know her habits, I know how she thinks and stuff pretty good, you can kind of see things. You kind of feel things. Most suicidal people will communicate their intentions sometime during the week or the weeks preceding their attempt. No, they just keep going farther into the pit. And you can see them. If it's somebody you know, you can see them going in the pit. I can really see it now. I was so busy working, I didn't think about Wally. And looking back for that 6 weeks from Barbara left him till he took his life, because we talked daily. I seen him go down there. But I didn't recognize it because I didn't stop and think. I didn't think my friend would kill himself. People talk about suicide. They may even try. Somebody like this, is this somebody that has attempted suicide at different times on that part, mental stuff? You know your people. You know your friends. Myth, once a person decides to commit suicide, there's nothing to stop them. That is a total myth. I may have decided to do it. I may be sitting there getting ready to do it. But one thing I have learned with what we've done over the past several years now, I can sit here and tell you there's 10 people alive in Kentucky today. You know, you can be down there and somebody can walk in, you know, I'm going to pick on my police officers a moment back here. I respect y'all. Y'all understand that? I respect you. But I watch the news. They want to cancel the police. They want to do this. They got to wear cameras. They ain't fast enough. We don't want them. We don't need them. I mean, you hear the negative crap every day. But how often does somebody walk up to you and shake your hand and say, I appreciate you? Just like farming. We're out here farming. How often does somebody walk up to your door, come to your farm, come in, meet you, and I appreciate you for being a farmer and who you are? It's rare. It's rare on that part. But now somebody out here walking and fussing and cussing and running you down and giving you grief, that takes a toll on you on that part. Positive action. You know, we can be out here and I can just come by and say, hey, brother, I appreciate what you do. And that can be the little positive action that made that day that much better on that side of the coin. QPR, suicidal clues and warning signs. The more clues and signs that serve, the greater the risk. Take all signs seriously on that part. See, ain't it much better when you control your own clicker? You just like to give me grief. Clues. And I got no place to stand without being in front of somebody, so we just have to do it. Direct verbal clues. Now, I walk up and tell you, I have decided to kill myself. That's a pretty direct clue, ain't it? That ain't a clue. That's just a direct statement on that part. I wish I was dead. I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going to end it all. If I don't win the lottery tonight to pay my bills, I'm going to kill myself. If I don't win the election tonight and become fire chief, I'm going to kill myself. Is that not pretty direct statements? If somebody's telling us that, we need to listen to it on that part. I'm tired of life. Indirect. Okay, you got direct, now we got indirect. I'm tired of life. I just can't go on. Well, I am tired, but I'm going to keep going on. My family, and you'll hear this stuff at times, my family would be better off without me. You know, somebody gets to a point in life, they get down, and they think the rest of them, they think they're just a drag on the family, on that part there. My family would be better off without me. Who cares? Who cares if I'm dead? Do you care if I'm dead? Yeah. But sometimes you think nobody does. I just won out. I won't be around much longer. This is pretty good when they talk about Like I told you, I'm just an old country boy, but I've learned a lot with them and what we've done and listening and stuff. I just want out. I just don't want to be around. Pretty soon you won't have to deal with me no more. You know, it's an indirect statement, but knowing what you're listening to now, you can sit here and start thinking about what I just said and ask a question and ask it directly. Behavioral clues. Any previous attempt at suicide. If they've attempted it before and failed, that's a pretty strong hint. You know what I'm saying? Acquiring a gun or stockpiling pills. I love my guns. I have my guns. And if you was to come to my house to take my guns, you wouldn't do nothing but upset me. And y'all could bring the whole entire FBI and you'd never find everything I got on that part there. But, you know, if I've never owned a gun and I absolutely anti-gun, and all of a sudden I go to the store and buy one, what's that tell you? Things to think about how it's done. You know, stockpiling pills. Co-occurring depression. You know, 1 week I'm happy, 1 week I'm depressed. 1 week I'm happy and 1 week I'm depressed, back and forth. And here's a big one, putting personal affairs in order. You know, I'm paying my bills, I'm paying my stuff. I owe you your lawnmower back. Y'all see me coming around and I'm putting affairs in order. Why am I all of a sudden putting affairs in order? I'm 63 years old and I never done it before. Why am I all of a sudden doing it? You see what I'm saying? Kind of clues to look at on that part. Giving away prized possessions. If I'm giving away my guns and my knives and my toys and my trinkets, something is going on there. But yeah, I've given away a few guns. I've given all my kids guns. And I've given every one of my grandkids guns. And for Christmas, I got a daughter-in-law thinks my family's just a bunch of heathens, and I don't really care. Because come Christmas time, my kids get guns, knives, and ammo. So it's just the way it is. Daughter-in-law's opinion don't matter too much anyhow, does it? All right. Sudden interest or disinterest in religion. I ain't never went to church in my life. All of a sudden I'm sitting here in church praying. Or I've never missed a Sunday, and now all of a sudden I don't think God's with me anymore, and I quit coming to church. Changing habits. Y'all with me on that part? Changing habits on that part. Drug, alcohol abuse, relapse. Maybe I never drank in my life. Now all of a sudden I'm doing a lot of drinking on that part. I may have never done drugs, and now you see me messed up. Things to look for, and there's a lot of them. You have to really do it like farewell notes. I leave Dr. Will a note says, I'm mad at the world, I'm going to kill myself. Okay? She's going to have me committed, and between her and my wife, my next few days are going to be very rough on that part. Neglect of personal hygiene. You never see me dirty. Y'all see my clothes clean. I'm always be nice in appearance. Now, for the past 3 months, I ain't shaved, I ain't washed, and I flat out stink. You know, I don't care anymore on that part. Things to look at on that. Neglect of the farm. Maybe I had the nicest looking little 25-acre farm in town here. Fences mowed, everything weeded, and not a piece of junk, a piece of paper out of place. For the past 3 months, it's kind of just growed up and went weedy and bushy, and I'm not out there doing it. Is that not a big sign for the whole neighborhood to see on that part? Neglect of the farm. Unexplained anger and aggression and irritability. I'm not suicidal, but I've had some anger and irritability and grumpy. Been told I was grumpy. Sometimes I get tired dealing with people and I tell you what I think. Then I get called to the office at Frankfurt. Did you really say that? Yes, sir. I own up to what I say, don't I? No, that wouldn't be unusual for me. Yeah. Yeah. I have my days, and that's good. When the intern stuff work with us, we're going to learn. I'll give you an opportunity to learn. But you do not have to doubt where you stand with me. You do not have doubt what I'm thinking or I'm going to do. Situational clues. Death of a spouse. You know, my daddy passed away this past year. Him and my mama had been together for 64, 65 years. You know, I don't think she's suicidal, but she misses daddy, death of a spouse, a loved one on that part. And what's worse, Cheryl knows I got a friend. He was one of my better friends, good friend. 3 years ago, he lost his son. He had 2 daughters and a son. He lost his son in a bad wreck. And we've worried about him. We've worried about him a whole lot. One of the things we done, we took him to training with us to try to help him out. And we was really worried about him. And he teaches QPR with us some, not that much, but we got him trained with us, and that helped him. And then we was out here a little over a year ago. He was one of the instructors with us doing QPR, and he got up here that night, and he probably opened up and shared that he had had a sawed-off, Shockwave, whatever, the little Mossberg short shotguns, sitting beside his bed and loaded. He had made plans to kill himself. He just never, each morning, he couldn't never pick the day. He went past it. And he got a younger daughter that's in school. She graduated this time, beautiful little girl. And then he told us what he was thinking, and got talking that night, said, I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it so bad. Him and his son had been fighting for the past month before his son had a wreck. I don't know what all was said. He brought the boy up one day to talk to me. Said, talk some sense into him. Well, me and the boy, you know, I taught him how to shoot and stuff, and we chit-chatted. Just father and son sandpaper, you know what I'm saying? There's a little ruffling there. But the daddy blames himself. Anyhow, he told us he had the gun there, and he had put it up, and he wasn't going to do it. And he's still living with us today. But they was 6-8 months there. I would not have been surprised that any morning I got the phone call on that part there. And I told him, I'm not going to come find you. Ain't going to find that big body. Had one other friend. He ended up and died of cancer in the throat. And went down, worked with him one night. It's not my job. I'm not no therapist. And took him home one night, and I said, I'm never coming to your house again. Why that? I'm not going to come to the house and walk in and find another dead body. I'll meet you. I'll work with you. You call me. You're out here standing here talking. Yeah. But I'm not going to come knock on doors and somebody not answering. And I think that kind of changed his attitude. I got nastier that night than I aimed to. You know what? I don't really know how to describe it, but I wasn't babying him. I just got direct. Crop failures, loss of a farm. You know, Warren told you, the pigs is going bad. They end up had to sell a farm and pay the bills. Loss of a farm on that part. And what really changes on the loss of the farm, you know, I have no legacy farm. My grandpa had a farm, and Daddy bought one. I mean, I ain't sitting here on 10 generations of farming, okay? But just say my daddy gives me a farm, or Papa will give you one, and his daddy had it, and then you're 4 or 5 generations down the line, and something went wrong, and you lost it. And the rest of the family sitting here, well, so-and-so done better, and you lost it. You know, is that not doom and gloom? Is that not an issue, something for you to worry about on that part? Fear of becoming a burden on others. Now, this is one of mine. I do not want to live in a nursing home with somebody having to take care of me. That's just, I don't want to do that. I've seen it. I've rode EMS buggies. I've hauled people in and out. Nobody cares. Nobody wants you. Nursing home sends you to hospital. Hospital sends you to nursing home. All you do is transport back and forth. I do not want to be that. Crop failures. Extreme weather. We have more crop failures and we got more extreme weather than we ever had. You know, we have hot, we have cold. You know, they joke about the weather in Kentucky. You can have all 4 seasons in a week. If you're out here trying to grow crops, or dry season, you got fires, worrying about fires, things to worry about in that part and things. There's a lot of situations that can bring it to that point to make you think. Am I getting everything, Doc? Tips for asking the suicidal question. Tips for asking. If in doubt, don't wait. If I think Mary Simon's having a bad day, I'm going to ask. I'm not going to wait till tomorrow. I'm not going to wait till next week. I'm going to ask now. I'm going to be there to ask now. And why did I do that? Because they say if I worked with her every day for the past month, and you can see those changes, and you know that person, ask the question. Do not wait till tomorrow, because just like in Wally's case, tomorrow didn't come. If a person is reluctant, be persistent. You know, if Dr. Witt, I ask her a question, she's being reluctant, be persistent. If you know it, something has changed. Let's say I know Dr. Witt, I know her well, and say I just know it. They've lost the farm or her husband's left her, and you know something has just drastically changed. You know it's there. Be persistent, be that friend. Talk to the person alone. There's a lot of things we do in public like this, and there's a lot of times you go talk with somebody one-on-one. You know, don't embarrass nobody, don't spotlight nobody. That's why we have to do this in a team. Because we'll be doing a lecture and somebody hears something that bothers them, Dr. Witt or me one, who's ever not standing here, will go out there and listen to you private, and what you say is yours. Fair enough at that part? Sometimes you got to be on your own. Talk to the person alone. Allow the person to talk freely. Dr. Witt will tell you, I have a problem with shutting up and listening. But I'm there trying. And I know that. I'm struggling, I'm trying, okay? Daddy always told me to get a job where somebody paid me to talk, and I did. So I did what I was told. Give yourself plenty of time. I go knock on Doc's door, or I come see Marion, and I know she's had a bad day, and I come see her. I can't rush in and out in 5 minutes. It may take an hour for her to share everything. Be willing to give the person the time. Because what time you give them may be what it takes to save them on that part there. It's an hour worth with her, worth saving her. Yeah, y'all see what I'm saying? Got Patty back there, same thing, you know. You get to know people. Be prepared for potential referrals. If I'm coming to ask Patty, and I know she's had a bad day, everything went bad, and I'm coming to ask her if she's thinking about suicide, I need to come through the door loaded. I need to know the resources and how to help her to get them. You know, that's like going fight fire. You don't go fight fire with a pickup truck and no water. You go to fight fire with your fire trucks and your hose. You know, that's coming in here. Know your resources. Know you got the number 988. Kentucky is part of 988. And they can help you. They can talk to you. And they'll even talk to you. It ain't just suicide, it's about stress. How do I know 988 is so good? Because Dr. Witt and Dr. Jones wrote the programs that has trained the dispatchers in our Kentucky how to talk to police, how to talk to fire, how to talk to farmers. You come in and say you got a farmer, they can transfer you that way. You know, there ain't nothing makes me any madder and be trying to educate somebody about agriculture. They don't know what a cow is, and they think cow farts is going to run the world, and the tractor shouldn't be on the road, and we shouldn't be planting corn. And if I answer the phone, or you answer the phone, I'm having a bad day thinking about suicide, and you answer the phone, and you're against everything I'm doing, are you a benefit to me? No, you just pushed me over the deep end on that part.
And I will say that if you don't know or if you don't have resources, you know, and I mentioned chaplains, and if you don't know that information, everybody knows 988. Everybody, you know, and they're open 24 hours a day. And interesting enough, it's just a little tidbit, the monies that we got to, you know, part of what we have done is been able to invest in, we updated the equipment for the 988 call centers in Kentucky to be ready for 988 when it switched to 988, and to be able to increase the amount, like our goal is 90%. All calls to go to 988 get answered by somebody, but it used to be like, I think 45% or 53, something like that. Some of those, if you called, the 53% would get answered by somebody from Kentucky. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but the calls that didn't get answered by somebody in Kentucky got answered by somebody in Miami or New York City.
Can you imagine New York City helping us?
But they can't understand.
No, they don't understand.
So now we're up to, what did he say the other name? 85%?
Yeah,
we were able to get more
has really,
staff and backup centers, where if this backup center in Kentucky couldn't answer it, another center in Kentucky would answer it. So they could talk to somebody from Kentucky.
And they've been trained on what agriculture is. They've been trained that you keep your politics and your opinion off the phone, okay? On that part there. I mean, I don't care whether Biden, Trump, whatever. If I call on you and I'm having a bad day, I do not need to be arguing with somebody that's on the other side of that coin. So they have been trained. And I know this because I watched them build the programs on that part. But I want y'all to remember this. Here's your takeaway. It does not matter how you ask the question, but the fact is that you get direct and you ask the question on that part there. When I say suicide hurts everybody, it does. 2 years ago, my firefighters, Root County Fire and Rescue, cut a 13-year-old girl out of a closet because she thought life was bad and she went in a closet and hung herself. 13 years old. To me, everything's gravy in front of you. But I took lessons. I got grandkids when COVID hit. I got one granddaughter that wants to be a doctor. She's a genius. Being trapped at home like it drove her nuts. I didn't understand it. I got another granddaughter that don't give a shit if the sun shines or not. You know, they're two different. And it's how it affects people different. Being trapped at home literally drove B out of her mind. And Lainey, I don't care.
But remember, the worst action is inaction.
It's doing nothing.
Do something.
And that was my case. I lived this with Wally. I did nothing because I was working, I was busy, you know. Hell, he's Wally. Him and Barbara separated, filed divorce papers, and let's move on. But, you know, his mama had died a couple years earlier, and looking back now, I can see him go down the rabbit hole. He quit traveling to fire schools with me. He quit going to classes. He quit being out here. He just stayed at home. He went to work and stayed at home. And now I can see he drawed into that hole. So this helps me to talk about that. Question, less direct approach. Have you been unhappy lately? They talk about doing this stuff. This is not my style. I'm going to be direct. You can like me, you cannot like me, but you're going to know where we stand. But less direct. Have you been unhappy? You're leading into the big questions. Have you been so unhappy lately you've been thinking about ending your life? Do you ever wish you could just go to sleep and never wake up? Some kind of indirect questions. You're beating around about it, okay? Let's just get to the point. Direct approach. You know when people are upset, you seem to be, they sometimes wish they were dead. I was wondering if you felt the same way. You know, you got to be direct. It sounds like you're going through a really hard time. Have you been having any thoughts of suicide? It's tough questions. But I know of an FFA student that a kid told her he was going to take his life. She let him call his mom and dad, and he's alive today. You know, so we don't know what you're going to say to help. If you cannot, here's a kicker. Y'all listen to me, all of you. If y'all cannot ask the question, say you're too nervous to do it, you find somebody like me or someone that can. You know, let's just say I got you 4 back here. And this young girl here knows she's having a bad time. You can't ask the question. You get that big boy beside you or that over there. What I'm saying? Team up together, go together. But ask the question. Do not do it because you're scared to do it. I don't care. I'll ask the question. You can like me or not like me. But you know what people that's not afraid to talk, and you know people that are. Y'all understand what I'm saying? If you can't do it, get someone to do it. You're not suicidal, are you? This is why you don't do it. It leads them to say, no, you're not suicidal, are you? Do not lead them down the wrong path. Be direct. Questions for discussion. What sort of questions? Okay, y'all. What can y'all
Just skip over that.
persuade? Listen to the problems. Listen to what they got. I say I've been out here and Patty's told me, he says she's just done with life. On that right there. And I don't want to go off and leave her. So now I got to persuade Patty to get help. I got to talk to her to get help. And back to what Cheryl was talking about a while ago. Don't rush to judgment, get help. Well, here's what I'll do for Miss Patty. You know, if we're in a town, and I know how it is living local town, used to it 8 party phone lines, and grandma shared stuff pretty quick, but nowadays you got social media, it's got grandma beat. Say we live in a town, and Patty don't want to go to psychiatrist because she don't want rumors all to spread that Patty's not thinking right, or Patty got a problem, or Patty's got an issue. Well, here's what I'll do for Miss Patty. I will drive you to the office. You go in and get the help. I'll sit in the parking lot and play on TikTok. And I don't care what the town says about me. You post it on Facebook, I'll help you comment on it. But what did I do for Patty as a friend? I helped her get what she needed at that point in time. Then ask, persuade. Will you go with me to get help? Just like, Patty was willing to do it, but she was scared to go by herself. So what? I ain't doing nothing else today. I'll go. I want to keep my friend for the next day. Will you let me get you help? Will you promise me? And human beings are pretty good about keeping the word. If somebody gives you their word, that's pretty solid stuff, okay? Will you promise me, Dr. Witt, that you will not do nothing tonight till we can get back here? Until we can find some help. Your willingness to listen, and I have told you, listen to this. Y'all's willingness to listen can help rekindle hope. It can help turn it around. Just like that farmer, if somebody pulled in that barn lot with a bale of hay, one bale of hay, and then another neighbor knowed. I mean, we've seen floods and droughts, and we've watched communities load up hay at the fairgrounds to take it somewhere, right? If somebody had known that issue, he'd had hay on that part. But being proud and being a farmer, he was too proud to ask for it. Discussion. Particular message. How do you ask for help? Why do you get past the barriers? How do you get past all this? I just discussed that. Being willing to step up and help somebody. Suicidal people, and this is refer, getting them help. 988 is referring. Knowing the number to the police station. Knowing where there's help at out here. Knowing where the chaplain's number at the firehouse or the Northern Kentucky Firefighter Association. They have chaplains there. There's people that would help you. Neighbors and friends at school at FFA. There's people that would talk to you. There's counselors at school on that part. The best referral involves taking the person directly to someone that can help. Just like I talked about, I would take Patty there. I'll take Marion there. I'll take Dr. Witt there. It's being willing to step up and help. If I could back up in time, I'd load Wally up and take him somewhere. Or I'd be sitting there that day. I did not know that his wife was going to have him served in divorce papers that day. Wished I known, but we didn't know that. He got served with divorce papers about 3 o'clock, and they estimate somewhere at 4:30, 5 o'clock he shot himself. So if I know that he was going to get divorce papers that day, I could have been sitting there with him when he got them, and we might have made it to the next morning on that part there. Hindsight's a great thing, but it just makes you wonder what could you have done different. Getting referral, getting help, I'm not going to beat time on all this, Doc. I think we've been pretty direct.
Well, something I was going to say is, again, even if you cannot get them there right then, if you can be with them, or let's just say, I'm glad you brought up the gun situation. If I knew that Dale was thinking about suicide, and I know I can't get all them guns out of there, there's no way, I would have Dale come with me. I would remove him from whatever potential. So maybe I'll have him come spend the night, or might take him over to his mom or his brothers. So can you stay here till we can, we know where to go or who we can go to. So sometimes you can't always just.
There's always an option. You come take my guns and throw them in a trunk car and bang them up. And I seen my uncles get that done one time. All you're doing is making me madder. But like she said, load me up in the car. Instead of trying to remove everything from me, remove me from all that. That you could easily do. Talk me into going. Any questions? How might you follow up with a farmer? Here's how I follow up. Farmer. Tomorrow morning, let's come back and check on you tomorrow morning. I met with Patty today. I'll come back and check on her tomorrow. Next day, I may call her. Next day, I may text. There's a group, about 20 of us guys, that text each other, kind of occasionally weekly. And sometimes we'll call each other and we'll visit each other. And we got a pretty rough way of saying happy birthday to each other. We'll call up and sing a happy birthday song that make a sailor blush. But it's just, and when we check on each other, it might be just, hey, stupid, or just, but we're just texting, and that way we all know what we're kind of checking on each other.
Well, that's what I was going to say, not to wait till you get to that point. We all got to get up every day, and most of us got a cell phone. It's not going to cost you any more to just text up your friends and say, hey, I was thinking about you today. everything okay? Need anything? Just a joke a day, something. Laughing is one thing that the hormones that are released are the good ones that make your head go much better. So let's not wait to that. Let's check on our friend, our neighbor, our friends at school, and say, hey, how's it going? Or, we used to do that more in rural communities, stop by and have a cup of coffee or whatever, but we just don't do that. But it's up to us. Like we said, it's everybody's responsibility. And it's up to us to take care of each other. We're all working class people. I don't know who cares about us and who doesn't. But I know, I'd care about you. And even if I saw you even crying, I don't even know you. I said, you okay? You never know. Just smiling at somebody will make a difference in it. Those random acts of kindness, I love those things. Let's not wait till the person gets to that point. But it's up to us to check on our neighbors, check on our friends, our family, and let them know we are here and we're thinking about them. We don't have to have a 2-hour conversation with them.
30 seconds. But things, get involved. Ask the person who else might help. Talk to family, friends. I got one brother I get along good with. I got the other brother I just not seen. Okay, it's just kind of the way life is there. It's called family. Another farmer. I got some farmers I talk to, and I got some of the neighbors I don't want them to know my business. Okay, we all got stuff like that. So there's options and choices. Be aware. Show that you care. Follow up with a visit, a phone call, a card. There's many ways of following up on that part. It's your choice on that. Remember, you apply QPR, you plant the seed of hope. You can help prevent suicide. And that's what we're here doing tonight. We just plant hope. And this ends the official part of the program. And to show y'all some more of what we've been doing.
Let me do this part, some of it.
Okay.
Does everybody want to stand up for just 1 second? We got just one little special thing. Anybody want to stand up or have a question?
Are you going to do it for a moment? You do it.
Do it.
Since you're over here hogging all the cookies, I'm going to enjoy the cookies.
I haven't eaten not one cookie. Everybody want to stand up and stretch? I mean, it's intense. It's a tough subject. Okay. Part of our one special thing that we do has been very, very, very successful. We got a military. I know we have at least one military person in here. Anybody else military? Military. So you're familiar with the challenge coin. In the military, they have coins, and Dale will show you that here in a minute. I just want to kind of lay the groundwork. In the military, they have coins that represent you've met requirements to be like in a special unit or part of elite group. And once you get that and you're part of that group, then and I mentioned this before, you got brothers and sisters that got your back. You can count on them because you all are part of that. In the military, though, you go out and they'll say, you got your challenge coin on you? And if you don't have your coin, you got to buy the round of drinks. Now, we don't do it. We don't use that this way. But Mr. Dobson and he calls them kids. Well, of course, everybody's a kid to us. That he works with came up with an idea, and they use a coin. So, go ahead.
Okay. Some of y'all's had challenge coins given to you before. Police, fire, EMS. I brought 2 coins in here tonight. And we have taken the challenge coins in Kentucky, and you FFA, listen to me. I got FFAs all over Kentucky, visiting people and farmers shaking hands. If Campbell County FFA wants to do something, I'll help you find the money, I'll help you find the coins, and I'll help you do the program. Seneca's doing it, Nelson County do it. Next Tuesday, all the Fayette County FFAs start. Henry County FFA's out there on the road now. Seneca had 34 kids last year. We currently have over 10,000 coins floating around Kentucky, people shaking hands. And I have shaken hands from the northern side of Minnesota to this past summer. Me and Dr. Witt, on the anniversary of the building collapse down at Miami-Dade, we shook 61 hands in Miami that day. We sent down there just to shake hands to the responders that went in and dug them rotten bodies out. Now, you know what the human body does when it rots, right? Imagine in the hot sun for, 6 weeks out there, and know what they pulled out. My phone, yeah. Me and Patty shook hands last year standing out here at the fairgrounds. Me and Miss Marion has shook hands and had a one-on-one talk. Somebody that's having a bad day, you may go private and talk to them. But I'm going to pass out 2 coins tonight. And with the help of this group, I got a couple of people that want to do. I carry a coin called the Dixie Ag Safety Team. And back in Hodgenville and Root County, I've been doing this 35 years. I run out of fresh ideals. So I get FFA kids from Root County, Central, and John Hardin each year. I take 6 kids to each school. This year I got 19 young people on my team. They help me do my symposium now. They're the ones to do it. For a successful symposium for me on March the 8th, a successful symposium is I sit in the back of the room and never move and say a word. Y'all coordinate it all. You tell me what you want, what you get. One of my kids has got commissioner coming. Another one's got another guy coming. And they make programs. It's about life and death or share the road. Last year, suicide. This year, it's about stress management. We come up with the idea of taking a firefighter's coin and turning it into an appreciation coin. The one I carry here says, "You are appreciated." My wife gave me this coin. She found it in the washing machine. Come in one night in the living room. "Look what I found in the washing machine." I stuck my hand out. She said, "Big boy, you know the rules. You wrote them." And she was gone. Okay, well, whatever. I ain't going to mess with her. She come back later and said, "You want my coin?" I said, "Yeah." My coin comes with a minimum of a handshake and a challenge and a hug if you want it. That's up to the person's choice when we do them and pass them out. With that being said, I got 2 police officers back there tonight. I'd like y'all come up if you want to shake my hand. And why did I pick them tonight? Well, I picked responders and different ones because I know what we deal with out here on a daily basis. On that part there. One of y'all's military. One of you's been here for a while. And y'all watch what I do. Now, y'all remember, if y'all FFA want to do something, I've told you before, I'd help you. Give me your first name, partner.
Blake.
Blake?
Yep.
Or Mr. Blake, I just met you tonight, but I know you're a veteran. I know you're just getting started in the police service. I appreciate the job you do. I appreciate what you deal with every day out here. I couldn't do what you do because somebody would say something nasty at me and I'd say something back and we'd all be in an all-out battle, okay? And I'd probably park the truck on somebody and get called to Frankfurt. My coin says Raising Hope. This is part of our program, what we're working with. There's 12 different styles here. I'd like to give this to you. It says text or call 988 if you're ever having a bad day. See the gold words, what it says? Says you are appreciated. Says you are appreciated. You've had coins before you're military, so I know you have. Mm-hmm. But I promise you'll never forget where you stood when I shake your hand. Absolutely. On that part there. Because I'm doing it in front of a group here. I don't think we need to be private, but if you got anything you want to talk private with, somebody will. Blake, I'd like to give you my coin, but now listen, it comes with a minimum of a handshake and a challenge and a hug if you want it. And if you don't take my challenge, you don't get my coin. You gotta shake my hand. Now listen to me, brother. You take my coin, you give me your word. If you ever down that Lonesome Blue, if you're ever having a bad day, you call 988, you call me, you call him. You give me, and a man that don't keep his word ain't much of a man. You understand what I'm telling you in front of these people?
I do.
You take my coin, you give me your word. You ever need help, you call me.
I will.
Love you, brother.
Thank you.
And that right there, that handshake is how we're going to change the world. One handshake at a time. That's what it's all about. You know, we remember we all shake. And I does appreciate the job you do.
Thank you very much.
Seriously. I wish I could shake every hand in the group, but I can't. These young people, I'll help you raise money and get the coins, and they can. This gets emotional. You cry, I cry, tears get involved. Give me your first name one more time.
Nick.
Nick. How many years you got in service here, Nick?
Over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
Yes,
I guarantee you've been in some good situations, been in some bad situations.
Yes, sir.
You've had people that tell you couldn't get there fast enough, and you've had other people write a complaint, probably said you was driving too fast.
Yes.
I've been on all sides of it. Nick, I'd like to give you a coin from me to you to tell you appreciate. I appreciate the job you do. I appreciate the protection you give us. I appreciate the risk that you take just to be a law enforcement officer. Would you like to shake my hand?
Yes, sir.
Listen to me, Nick. Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Yes, sir.
You take my coin, you give me your word, and if you don't keep your word, you ain't much.
Yes, sir.
You give me your word. You call me. I'll give you my corn, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank
I
you.
love you, man. That's the power of a handshake and a hug. That's what life's all about. And with that being said right there, that wraps up mine, Dr. Witt's part of the night. We'll answer any questions. We'll help y'all do anything you have. I say thank you to Patty and Marion for getting us up here. Y'all have a good night.